You hear the cannons before sunrise. You always hear them before sunrise now. But this morning is different. This morning, like the earth itself is trying to warn you. Like the stones beneath your feet remember every century. You are a soldier of Constantinople. A guardsman. You have stood on these walls for the You are Greek. Orthodox Christian. The heir of a civilization that stretches back more than 1,000.
Constantinople. Built on a triangle of land where Europe meets Asia. Surrounded on three sides by water. Walls that have repelled Persians, Arabs, Bulgarians, Vikings, Crusaders. Walls that have stood for over 1,000.
You grew up believing those walls made you safe. 53 days ago, you started to understand why that belief was dangerous.
His name is Mehmed II. He is 21 years old, the new Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. His advisor
been planned out. He had been planning this since he was a boy, studying maps of the city, reading histories of failed attempts.
The answer arrived in the form of a Hungarian engineer named Urban, who had first offered his services to Constantinople.
Urban built a cannon so enormous it took 60 oxen to drag it into position. It fired a stone ball weighing over half a ton.
And when it hit your walls that had stood for 1,000 years, they cracked. They actually cracked.
Every morning since then, you have woken to that sound. You repair the damage at night. Rubble, timber, earth packed into the gaps. You work by...
By dawn, the patch holds. By noon, the cannon has opened it again.
By nightfall, you are back in the same spot with the same rubble and the same torchlight. Doing it all again.
Inside the city, things have become very quiet in a way that is not peaceful. Constantinople once had...
As the empire shrank and the trade routes changed, the Ottoman Empire pressed in until Constantinople was an island.
The Emperor, Constantine II, rides between the walls and the...
He has sent messengers to Rome, to Venice, to Hungary, to every Christian king in Europe, begging for soldiers. The rest of Europe watched and debated and sent prayers instead of soldiers. You held no bitterness.
On the night of May 28th, the cannon goes quiet. This should be a relief. It isn't. You stand on the walls and look out across the plain at the Ottoman camp, which stretches as far as you can see in both directions.
You can hear something else too.
Tonight is the last night of preparation. Tomorrow, they come.
Inside the Hagia Sophia,
The dome rises above you into the dark, gold mosaics catching the flame light.
The Emperor takes communion. So do you. So does the man beside you, a Venetian sailor.
You go back to the walls. At 1:30 in the morning, the drums change. Not louder. Different. A different rhythm.
The rhythm of movement. And then the ground begins to vibrate with something that is not a cannon. It is footstep.
You hear the war cries beginning to rise. Low at first, then building. Then an absolute...
You grip your spear. The man beside you says something you don't catch. You look at him. He looks back. Nothing else needs to be said.
The first assault hits the weakest point, the section of wall near the Gate of St. Romanos, where the cannon has done its worst work.
You fire arrows until your arms burn. They fall back. Then they come again. Then they fall back.
For 2 hours, you hold!
Then the elite Janissaries arrive. These are Mehmed's finest. Disciplined, professional, ferocious. One man climbs, then another, then 10. A shout goes up across the wall. In the confusion, a small gate.
When the defenders on the outer wall turn and see Ottoman soldiers in the streets of Constantinople, something breaks. Men begin to run. The emperor rides to the breach himself. Constantine II, last emperor of Rome, dismounts.
The last Roman emperor, fighting with a sword, in a gap, in a wall, in the dark. He disappears into the fighting.
The Janissaries pour through, then thousands more behind them. And then it is not a battle anymore. It is a flood.
The great chain across the Golden Horn is cut. Ottoman ships pour in.
It is not one sound. It is all sounds at once. Metal and stone and fire and voices. And then...
By noon on May 29, 1453, the city is taken. Mehmed enters through the gate of Adrianople.
He rides to the Hagia Sophia. He dismounts at the door, bends down, and
inches. It will be converted to a mosque before the day is out. A muezzin climbs to the top of the dome and calls the evening prayer.
The looting lasts 3 days, as Ottoman custom permitted. Then Mehmed stops it. He walks through the streets and looks at...
What a city we have given over to plunder and destruction.
Even the man who took it mourned what was lost.
Constantinople had stood for 123 years. It had survived 8 sieges. It had outlasted the Western Roman Empire by nearly 1,000 years. Craftsmanship. It had preserved the knowledge of ancient Greece and Rome through centuries of European darkness. Its libraries, its scholars.
The fall of Constantinople may have indirectly ignited the rebirth of European civilization.
It was renamed Constantinople by its new rulers, then eventually Istanbul.
The stones are the same stones. The dome is the same dome. The gold mosaics were plastered over for centuries.
The faces of the saints reappearing from underneath, like a memory that refused to be buried.
But not all cities fell in fire and war. Some simply vanished. No enemy, no siege, no final battle. Just silence.
One morning, the people were gone, the streets were empty, and the jungle began to grow back over everything they had built.
That story is next. A story of silent disappearances, swallowed by time and wilderness. The nightly ritual of clearing the debris, a testament to unwavering human spirit, continued.
These walls, not merely stone and mortar, embody 1,000 years of resilience, witnessing. Over centuries, the sprawling Roman Empire receded. Its once vast domains gradually diminished.
The emperor seeks solace and strength in fervent prayer. In the face of overwhelming odds, he speaks to his dwindling.
The initial surge of irregular forces tests the city's crumbling resolve, a relentless human...
Arrows fly ceaselessly, a desperate storm from the walls, until every muscle aches with the unbearable... Then comes the disciplined advance of the Janissaries, an unyielding tide of elite warriors.
The first warrior breaches the crumbling facade, a grim harbinger of the fall. His ascent...
A shout, piercing and desperate, rips across the battlements. Not a battle cry, but... Through the forgotten passage, Ottoman soldiers slip like specters into the unsuspecting heart of the city. Now...
Not the enduring stone, but something infinitely more precious shatters. The collective will.
Amidst the surging tide of despair, Emperor Constantine II, the last true heir of...
In the chaotic, swirling dark, the last Roman emperor battles, his sword a desperate flicker against the
With the emperor fallen, the Janissaries surge through the breach, a relentless tide followed by countless thousands.
Panic grips the city as its inhabitants flee, a desperate tide flowing towards the perceived.
Encircled from within and without, Constantinople succumbs, its defenses shattered, its heart overwhelmed by the invading tide. Then, as the morti wear on, the ferocious symphony of destruction begins to fade, replaced by...
In the afternoon, Mehmed rides through the gate of Adrianople, a triumphant conqueror. At the door of Hagia Sophia, he dismounts, and with a profound gesture of humility.
Before the day's light fades, the Hagia Sophia begins its transformation. Converted from the great...
For 3 arduous days, as Ottoman custom decreed, the city endures a systematic plunder.
What a city we have given over to plunder and destruction.
Even the very hand that seized its power could not escape.
Constantinople stood for an astonishing 123 years, a beacon of civilization against the Constantinople. Within its sacred libraries, Constantinople meticulously preserved the invaluable knowledge of ancient Greece. The fall of Constantinople, a tragic end, ironically became the catalyst, indirectly renamed Constantinople by its new Ottoman rulers. The city gracefully evolved, eventually embracing Trat. The very stones beneath your feet centuries ago remain, silent witnesses to history, enduring.
The faces of saints reappear from beneath centuries of plaster, like a profound memory.
Not every city succumbs to the fury of fire and the devastation of war. Some simply vanish, swallowed by an enigma.
One morning, the vibrant life simply ceased. The people were gone, the bustling streets utterly empty.
To this very day, the enigma persists. Nobody truly knows the precise reason why these
The intricate maps and faded texts offer tantalizing glimpses into the forgotten past.
The cannons roar once more, a grim symphony before the dawn.
He rises, the heavy cloak weeks.
A guardsman stands vigil on these ancient walls for 53 relentless days.
He carries the weight of 1,000 years. A Greek, an Orthodox Christian, the living legacy.
Constantinople, a triangular jewel embraced by 3 sides of water, stands at the very crossroads of Europe.
These walls, a 1,000-year shield, have repelled Persians, Arabs, Bulgarians, Vikings. As a child, he lived wrapped in the illusion of safety, believing these colossal walls were an eternal, Mehmed II, the formidable young sultan, only 21, scorned the cautious counsel of his season.
He studied ancient maps, absorbed histories of failed attempts, a meticulous architect of...
The ingenious Urban, a Hungarian engineer, first offered his revolutionary services to the...
Urban crafted a cannon of unprecedented scale, so immense it demanded 60 oxen to slowly drag.
From that day forward, each morning's awakening brought the terrible symphony of
By night, under the flickering glow of torches, the defenders toiled, packing rubble, timber, and earth into the gaping wound. By dawn, the fragile patch held.
As night fell again, they returned to the same spot, the same rubble, under the same...
Within Constantinople, a chilling quiet had descended, not the peace of rest, but the heaviness. Decades had seen the empire dwindle, trade routes shift, and the relentless Ottoman tide.
Emperor Constantine II, his face etched with history's heavy burden.
Messengers journeyed to Rome, Venice, Hungary, pleading with every Christian king for soldiers.